Okay, y'all, in this recording what we're going to do is look at the layers of the alimentary canal. Remember, when we talk about the alimentary canal, we're basically talking about the digestive tract, okay? So what you'll see here, the convenient thing about the digestive system is that although there are multiple structures, they all have the same 4 layers. So what you'll notice on this model is that it's broken into little sections. So you have a section here, 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 and here. And these various sections just represent various structures along the alimentary canal. So for example, this would be the esophagus, the stomach, small intestines, and then large intestines. But again, y'all, the key idea here is that regardless of whether or not you're at the esophagus, stomach, small, large intestines, they all will have the same 4 layers. Now, the 4 layers associated with the digestive system or with the alimentary canal, we have the mucosa, submucosa, muscularis, and serosa, okay? Now, let's start with the mucosa, okay? The mucosa represents the inner lining of our alimentary canal, and the way the mucosa is represented on this model is the hot pink, okay? So I'll write mucosa there, but you can see all throughout these little hot pink folds, or if you're up here, this kind of hot pink, just straight band here, I guess. The hot pink all through here, that represents the mucosa. Now, when we talk about the mucosa, the function of the mucosa is really 2 big ones. That's absorption and secretion. That would be absorption of nutrients and then secretion of things like enzymes, hormones, various acids, things of that nature. All of that to help digest and absorb our nutrients. Now, coming behind the mucosa, and again, y'all, it doesn't matter if you're going this way, so going from this side out or from here out, okay? It doesn't matter because it's a tube, so it'll be on both sides. But what you see, y'all, I have outlined in yellow here this strip. And the strip in yellow is what we call the submucosa. Sub being under or below, and then the mucosa. And it's this grayish colored area, or maybe whitish. So this whitish area located here, this represents the submucosa. Now, with the submucosa, the key with the submucosa is that it contains blood vessels. So you'll see all through this gray here, red dots, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue there. And those are to show blood vessels that are moving through the submucosa. And that's important because remember that the mucosa is composed of simple columnar epithelial tissue. And by definition, all epithelial tissue is avascular, so no blood supply. So the way these cells in the mucosa survive is from the blood vessels here in the submucosa. So we say the function of the submucosa is to provide nourishment to the mucosa. All right, our 3rd layer gets a little tricky, and it's not necessarily tricky, we just have to pay attention here. Our 3rd layer is called the muscularis, and I'm just going to bracket on this side. So here in black, this whole muscular layer here, this would be the muscularis. I'm going to run out of room. Sorry. Let me change colors. So we'll keep it outlined in black, but let me change it to a blue color so we can see it on the background. So the muscularis here. Now, why the muscularis gets interesting. So again, y'all, this whole layer here, or again, if you did this whole strip over here and up and around, you know, all of that represents the muscularis. But why I said it can get tricky is that there are 2 layers of the muscularis. And this is the order. It goes circular, then longitudinal. Okay, so we have a circular layer and then longitudinal, where circular is immediately after the submucosa, and then it goes longitudinal, okay? Now, as we mentioned in lab, or if we haven't talked about it yet, what we will see here, or what I will talk about, is the fact that first and foremost, the muscularis is a bilayer of smooth muscle. Bilayer meaning 1, 2 layers here. And why we have 2 layers of muscle along our alimentary canal is to create 2 different movements. Our circular layer carries out a movement that is called segmentation. Okay? So the circular layer here performs segmentation, and segmentation is the fancy term for mixing. Okay, so to mix our food, our enzymes, the different acids at the stomach, mix everything together, that would be the circular layer. Now, for the longitudinal movement, it is called peristalsis. Peristalsis is a wave-like rhythmic contraction, where it's not a single contraction, instead it is one after another after another. Okay? And the more common term for that is a propelling movement. When I think of the alimentary canal, the analogy I think of is like a conveyor belt or a moving sidewalk at the airport that moves you forward. That is peristalsis, and that's what this longitudinal layer does. It takes the food that we consume and moves it through our esophagus to the stomach, small and then large intestines, and then out. Okay? Now, you do have to be careful here. So again, the whole layer here is the muscularis. But what you'll note is 2 very different views of this. You'll see first and foremost, I think it looks like little stones or little bricks here. And then this layer here, which is all just kind of a nice long strip, okay, running vertical here. So, as we said, it goes submucosa, boom, circular layer. So this brick-like looking layer here, this would represent the circular layer of the muscularis. And then this layer that basically is just running up and down here, this is the longitudinal layer. Okay? So you do need to be careful with this. Together, muscularis. Just this layer, circular layer. Just this layer, longitudinal layer. Okay? And again, if you come over to this side, you see the same representation. Little bricks, circular. Strips running up and down, longitudinal layer. All right, last but not least on this model is the serosa, which I have outlined in green. So you have the serosa again, as you see, coming up and around here. This is all the serosa. This is literally the outermost layer of the alimentary canal. So again, esophagus, stomach, small, large intestines. This is the outer covering. And the key thing with the serosa is that it allows for what we call visceral peritoneal attachments, which is just a way of saying things attach to the stomach, small intestines, large intestines at the serosa. All right, so there we have it, layers of the alimentary canal.